I did not expect this to be the most controversial aspect of the Trump administration, but DOGE is completely shaking up the government, and it's got Democrats in the media in a total meltdown.
And despite growing criticism and legal challenges, President Donald Trump and Elon Musk are moving ahead with cuts to the federal government.
We are not going to sit around while you go ahead and desecrate our Constitution.
This is a constitutional crisis that we are in today. Let's call it what it is.
Even Anderson Cooper can't help but embarrass himself on live television.
I'm not saying it's okay. Don't put words in my mouth.
So would you stop that? Would you stop that process?
Don't be a dick. The portrayal.
We're gonna watch Anderson Cooper fall flat on his face in a second, but my favorite part is no matter how loud they bang their pots and pans, make all this noise, we're pushing forward regardless.
This morning, President Trump setting new guidelines for hiring in the federal workforce. A new executive order directs government agencies to pursue large-scale cuts, saying they now need hiring approval from DOGE.
And then check this out. Obviously, they're calling for job cuts, and so the workers' unions are gonna say, hey, you can't take the jobs away from everyone that's paying our dues, right? But look at how the media frames this as evidence of some sort of constitutional crisis.
A union representing 800,000 government workers criticizing the order, calling the efforts reckless, unjustified cuts aimed at rewarding Musk and Trump's billionaire buddies.
This is the game they play. The media will try to speak through who they choose to quote and use that appeal to authority fallacy to try to validate their argument subconsciously within our minds.
Musk in the Oval Office yesterday with his young son, taking questions for the first time since the president's mandate to slash some federal agencies.
Your detractors, Mr. Musk.
The public voted, we have a majority of the public voting for President Trump. We won the House, we won the Senate. The people voted for major government reform.
They can't even hide it. Part of the campaign promises were to cut government spending, and they were talking about this before he even entered office.
Elon Musk promised to slash government spending by trillions, with the T, trillions of dollars. He was selected by President-elect Donald Trump for a commission called the Department of Government Efficiency.
That's the same reporter as in the intro. How fitting.
Elon Musk arrived on Capitol Hill with his son on his shoulders.
How was the meeting, sir?
Before a closed-door meeting about his goal to slash $2 trillion in government spending.
So that was over a month ago, right after they won the election. Now they're doing what they said they would do, and everyone's acting all surprised.
Last night, the White House firing the Inspector General for USAID after the watchdog's office warned that DOGE's dismantling of the agency had made it nearly impossible to monitor more than $8 billion in humanitarian funds. Massive cuts also announced at the Department of Education, slashing 89 independent research contracts worth nearly $900 million. A judge is considering a lawsuit to keep DOGE from accessing student loan databases. Musk and Trump have complained several of their plans are stalled in the courts, including their buyout offer to more than 2 million federal workers, raising concerns that the administration may defy a judge's order.
From who? Who has said that anywhere? What is the justification for this level of media hype?
This is dangerous territory. This is a constitutional crisis.
President Trump says that will not happen.
I always abide by the courts, and then I'll have to appeal it. But then what he's done is he's slowed down the momentum.
This level of media hype is so dumb. It's so dumb. They're just making stuff up, and they're pushing it into people's faces to get everyone all riled up and scared. It's just like in 2016. Oh yeah, this guy Chris Murphy, who was calling the shutting down of USAID a constitutional crisis, look at him basically admitting to everything we talked about in yesterday's video while he's trying to defend them.
Elon Musk has been floating all sorts of awful, terrible conspiracy theories about what happens at USAID.
Oh, okay, cool. So you're about to prove him wrong, right? You're about to tell us exactly how incorrect he was about everything USAID does?
Let's make it very clear that every single day, America is safer because of what happens at USAID.
Well, that's a weird start.
USAID fights terrorist groups all across this world.
What?
USAID chases China all around the world, making sure that China doesn't monopolize contracts for critical minerals and port infrastructure all around the world.
Am I hearing him correctly?
It supports freedom fighters everywhere in this world.
You gotta be kidding me.
Up until yesterday, delivering firewood, for instance, to the brave Ukrainian defenders on the Eastern Front.
Firewood. Yeah, I'm sure it was just firewood. Huh. Wow, that's some like new age kind of firewood, isn't it? This is what they're really upset about. Elon Musk says DOGE is to investigate the federal government workers who have managed to accrue tens of millions of dollars in net worth during their tenure.
Could you mention some of the things that your team has found, some of the crazy numbers, including the woman that walked away with about $30 million?
Right. Well, we do find it sort of rather odd that there are quite a few people in the bureaucracy who have ostensibly a salary of a few $100,000, but somehow manage to accrue tens of millions of dollars in net worth while they are in that position, which is, what happened at USAID. We're just curious as to where it came from. Maybe they're very good at investing, in which case we should take their investment advice, perhaps. But there seems to be mysteriously they get wealthy. We don't know why. Where does it come from? And I think the reality is that they're getting wealthy at taxpayer expense. If you look at, say treasury, for example, basic controls that should be in place, that are in place in any company, such as making sure that any given payment has a payment categorization code, that there is a comment field that describes the payment, and that if a payment is on the do not pay list, that you don't actually pay it. None of those things are true currently. So the reason that departments can't pass audits is because the payments don't have a categorization code. It's like just a massive number of blank checks just flying out the building. So you can't reconcile blank check. You've got comment fields that are also blank, so you don't know why the payment was made. And then we've got this truly absurd, a do not pay list, which can take up to a year for an organization to get on a do not pay list. We're talking about organizations, we're talking about known fraudsters, known aspects of waste, known things that do not match any congressional appropriation, can take up to a year to get on the list, and even once on the list is not used. It's mind-blowing.
With all of this, plain as day, Anderson Cooper tries to claim, oh man, the DOGE team, there is no transparency, there is no government fraud, the billionaires are taking over, and gets absolutely destroyed.
I gotta tell you, I know what you're not showing here. Musk gave 7 specific examples off the top of his head of where the corruption and fraud were. I know you didn't play the clips. He was talking about a contractor that had a 3-month contract. He was paid for 20 years. He was talking about welfare benefits that were being paid to someone that was technically 150 years old. He was talking about line items in the Treasury that had no justification.
There's no he doesn't present any actual evidence.
Well, he's standing there in the Oval Office. Do you expect him to come in with 10,000 pages? And I have to be clear, to complain about this administration about transparency, when this president takes open questions on a daily basis, yet Joe Biden didn't show up for a press conference in 6 months, is insane. Well, these guys are being extremely transparent. They don't have to sit there and take the questions, but they do. It's all on the website. It's all out there.
It's not transparency to say things that have no factual background. I mean, to say we're cutting, we've found $1 billion or $1 trillion in waste with no specifics, that's just talk. That's not transparency.
It's 23 days in here, guys. 23 days. You're talking about $2.3 billion that was saved last year. These guys are saving $2.3 billion a day.
Right, but
it's incredible.
That's what they're saying. But where's the proof?
You're waiting. You're not going to be satisfied till he shows up with 10,000 pages.
But we're talking about 10,000 pages.
Yeah.
He's giving very specific things,
yes,
but he's not actually giving any evidence of that.
It's all going to come because what they also said was, if we have to go to Congress, we'll go to Congress.
Right, but
we'll show where it is.
Some of the details that have come out, like the $59 million spent on luxury hotels, it's actually not.
You're talking about the FEMA money that was abused for migrants. That was.
Yeah.
FEMA money for migrants, that's okay now?
No, I'm not saying it's okay. I'm not saying it's okay. Don't put words in my mouth.
So would you stop that? Would you stop that process?
Don't be a dick. What I'm saying is the portrayal.
And what I'm saying is CNN portrayed everything the Biden administration said as gospel. Yet every single thing Trump says, they are just assuming is a lie. Caught on tape. EPA advisor admits agency hastily allocated billions in climate change funds before Trump took office.
It truly feels like we're on the Titanic and we're throwing like gold bars off the hatch. Who are the gold bars going to? Nonprofits, states, tribes. We gave them the money because it was harder. If it was a government-run program, they could take the money away. If Trump won, and because it was a insurance policy against Trump winning.